Irving Plaza. From Barking, Essex, Mr. Sexuality, Billy Bragg.
Hello. It's that summer of the evening, getting ready and roll the cassettes. There's boys outside preaching genocide, trying to think up some sort of threat. The ladies in the cloakroom take no notice of me. I wish myself was back indoors, but there's nothing safe in watching TV. There's something born tomorrow that I lost when I was out for a drink. How many gangs is it gonna take to change the way I think? It takes more than good intentions and a big bloke on the door that's never the same after the first time. It doesn't stop them coming back for more. Fighting in the dance halls happens anyway. Sometimes it makes me stop and think. Sometimes it makes me turn away. Sometimes it makes me stop and think. Sometimes it makes me turn away. Sometimes I want to stop and think, but most times I have to run away. Yes. Wait. Steady on now. Steady on, it's only your Uncle Bill. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those nights. Between Marx and marzipan in the dictionary, there was Mary. Between the deep blue sea and the devil, that was me. If ever anyone could help me with my obsession with the young Susanna York, it was Mary. My pink pajamas, she asked me for something, I gave her the short answer. She read our stars out loud, and I knew then that we should have gone sailing, but we stayed home instead, fighting on the waterbed like the honeymoon couple on drugs, me and Mary. What happened in the past remained a mystery of natural history. She should have been the last, but she was just the latest. She wanted to be a farmer's wife. I would endure that muddy life. I would dig for victory. And the sound of happy couples coupling happily in the dark. While you and I sat down to tea, I remember you said to me that no amount of poetry could mend this broken heart. You can put the Hoover out if you want to make a start. Oh, my friends from school introduce me to their spouses. Well, I'm left standing here with my hands down the front of my trousers. I just don't know what's to be done. I wonder sometimes, how did Dad meet Mum, and how did they conceive of me? Tell me, Mary. The boys who came to the shop always made her laugh much more than I did. When I told her this must stop, she didn't bat an eyelid. She said, you know, honey, it's such a shame you'll never be any good at this game. You bruise too easily. So said Mary. The two brothers took me out of circulation for the duration. So we went our separate ways. But does she still love me? She still has my door key. Like a bully boy in a Benetton shop. You're never happy with what you've got till what you've got has gone. Tell me, la 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 la. Thank you. It's really great to feel your empathy. You know, I know when I was playing the what laughingly passes for a guitar break, in that you were howling in your charming American way at the prospect of anything near a guitar solo. But I felt it was also, to me, it was just the joy and relief that I'd actually remembered at least half of that song. Because that's how I felt. There was a very nervous 5 minutes between after Clarissa went off, where I stood in the kind of punk version. Vaughan kept coming us another two verses. What happens after we get to the cake shop? Oh, God. It's like, yeah, it's a bit like that. It's like old friends. You have to sort of, work out where they've gone and stuff. So I sat in my hotel room today and watched whatever it was, the Promise Keepers gathering together in the National Mall. That's the duty, isn't it? And they went down there, it's CNN, and they went down there and asked them if this was political. Is this political? Now, it can't, I have rather ambivalent feelings about lots of big hairy men getting together for Jesus. Don't ask me why. Jerusalem Slim was a great guy, and, but it's all a bit, tattoos for Jesus. But, how can it be, can you imagine one politician in this country of any colour aligning himself with a group called Promise Keepers? No. It's a, and I find it rather ironic at a day when the Unite, the garment workers union here, are asking people to actually boycott. They're actually asking people, demonstrating on the streets, trying to get people to boycott the Gap. But they're actually asking people to go and stand in the Gap for some reason. I've never quite, what? There must have been a lot of very puzzled Christians today standing in clothing stores all over Manhattan, looking at the skimpy, naughty things that young people wear. Disgusting though it is. But it's really simple. If you want to find out where these guys are at, you only have to ask them one question, whether they're right wing or whatever they are. Next time you see them, or next time they're on the TV or phoning, just ring up and ask them where they stand on gun control. It's as straight as that. That's all you have to ask them. And when they answer that question, you'll know what kind of movement they are, because there's only two types of answer to that question. You're either for gun control or you want to shoot people. It's as simple as that. So. trapped in a haircut he no longer believed in. It's the wrong key. That's how long since I played that. This could happen a few times tonight, but I'm going to bank on you knowing he's in the wrong key. It sounded good, bit too country though, didn't you think? It's kind of like kind of weedy Englishman, you know. Hey, you was That's even more country, isn't it? You want it bluegrass? There's always one, isn't there? Someone. Even, you know, there's even sectarianism within country music. He was trapped in a haircut he no longer believed in. She said, I'm a teacher here. I teach the children. And he wondered to himself there and then all the things he could learn from her. A great, mighty wonder. Upstairs they're buying Stairway to Heaven. Down in the garden they're changing sticks into snakes. And the jangle of religious medals will put the fear of God into an angel. Come, come all ye faithful. Looks like drift to the right in the world that we were born in. But the horizon is bright, yonder comes the morning. Remember the names you once called me in anger. Think of the sadness in Florence Ballard's eyes. Imagine all the melancholy you could find in the arms of a stranger. Bread of heaven. Their baby came home to them, an unmarried mother. They wished she would turn into a pillar of salt. But in the end, compassion has to be the greatest family value. Hope of the helpless. Seems like a drift to the right in the world that we were born in. But the horizon is bright, yonder come the morning. Look here, we're going even higher. Now, I really should, I feel I should at least have a drink. That's what I should do. Because I'm thirsty. Why have they mic'd up that T-shirt? What? No, you have to, that was nice in harmony. That was good. Kind of barbershop heckling. On the count of three. You'll have to do it again, I'm afraid. What am I drinking? No, I'm afraid it's water. They're not big tits. I'm wearing a bra. Sounds like the nostalgia crowd are in tonight. Tough shit. I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission. Just let me get on the program, and we'll get round to those in a minute. The reason why I'm here in the United States of America, slightly out of season and a bit skew whiff, is because I'm on a search I'm on a search. I'm searching for the spirit of Woody Guthrie. Now let me tell you, I've been approached by the Woody Guthrie Archive, which is here in New York City and run by his daughter Nora and Harold Leventhal, who was his agent and worked with all those guys back then. In the archive, they've got pages and pages of stuff that Woody wrote and drew, and also songs that he wrote. But like me, and like a lot of songwriters, Woody Guthrie didn't read music. So when he wrote a song, he wrote the words down, and there they were recorded, but the tune he kept in his head. So if he never recorded it, and he never wrote the music down, when he died, the music died with him. And now Guthrie lived in a time when making records was not as common as it is today. Even performing gigs wasn't so common. Being on the radio was hardly ever recorded. So the songs that he did write, that he did perform, perhaps he performed them once, perhaps he never even performed them anywhere other than in his home. But these songs survive, whole songs. Not just a scrap of songs, but verse, chorus, whole songs, often with underneath, it's all typed. Woody typed, believe it or not. He typed incredibly fast. No, he did. He did in Oklahoma, he did a postal secretarial course, the speed type. And it's been said, and it probably is true, that he played the typewriter better than he played the guitar. No, seriously, I'm not joking. He's reamed of stuff. It's like he wrote at least a song a week, perhaps even a song a day. He would just write incessantly about whatever he was thinking about, like a diary that day. Anyway, when he became ill and subsequently died, these songs have languished in there. Archivists and researchers have seen them, but Nora Guthrie feels very strongly that these songs should be out, and she approached me and asked me if I would be interested in putting some of these songs to music, to listen to them and think up some ideas. Now, we're not talking about the final few scraps here. There's over 1,000 songs. So it's like, you know, I feel like I'm just wallowing in these great songs, and they're about so many other different things other than just the things that you would think about Woody Guthrie, because as I've said, Woody Guthrie, nobody wrote with more empathy about dust than Woody Guthrie. But that's not just that's there. There's much more of that there. And tonight, for the first time, I'm going to try out some of these songs. I played one of them last week for the first time at the AFL-CIO convention in Pittsburgh. I did play a couple of them. I played a couple of them last year in Cleveland at a Woody Guthrie sort of weekend of stuff, and another one of them I'm going to try and play tonight. I've never played in front of an audience before. So this first one, and if I'm looking down, it's not because I'm shy, it's because I'm having to check the lyrics, because Woody never would say in 5 verses what you could say in 10, if you know what I mean. But this first one's called Against the Law. It's against the law to walk, it's against the law to talk, it's against the law to loaf, it's against the law to work, it's against the law to read, it's against the law to write, it's against the law to be black or brown or white. Everything's against the law. I'm a low-paid daddy playing the high-price blues. It's against the law to eat, it's against the law to drink, it's against the law to worry, it's against the law to think, it's against the law to marry or try to settle down, it's against the law to ramble like a bum from town to town. Everything's against the law. I'm a low-paid daddy playing the high-price blues. It's against the law to come, it's against the law to go, it's against the law to ride, it's against the law to roll, it's against the law to hug, it's against the law to kiss, it's against the law to shoot, it's against the law to miss. Everything's against the law. I'm a low-paid daddy singing the high-price blues. against the law to gamble, it's against the law to roam, it's against the law to organize or try to build a home. It's against the law to sing, against the law to dance, it's against the law to tell you all the trouble on my hands. Everything's against the law. I'm a low-paid daddy singing the high-priced blues. Everything in Winston-Salem is against the law. I'm a low-paid daddy singing the high-priced blues. I've never been to Winston-Salem, but I guess Woody had. So, I mean, you know, there's a lot. I've written a lot of these songs over the last 18 months since Nora first began to send me manuscripts through the post, fax me ones she found. Eventually I came, when I was over here to play the Flower, that was really just a cover to come in and drink a lot of Guinness and go and have a personal, spend a couple of days going through the archive and looking, and I've done that. And now, this last 2 weeks, we arrived here about a fortnight ago here in the United States of America, and now I feel it's time to really find out as much as I can about Woody Guthrie himself, instead of just what I know about him from just having picked up listening to stuff over the last 20 years, to actually go and find out about him. So we went to Washington, D.C., a couple of weeks ago. I went to the Smithsonian. I had a look at the stuff they got there. I blagged a load of great CDs, the whole Harry Smith box set off them, which has saved me. Brilliant. And we listened to that. Harry Smith box set as we drove up to Pittsburgh and played at the AFL CIO convention there. Actually, I went on about 2 hours after your president, and he was cheating because he had Glory Days by Bruce Springsteen to come on to. I just had Power in a Union and a handshake from Mr. Trumpco and Mr. Sweeney, but hey, they gave me a really nice badge, and it was great up there. And I've been trying to wind up the AFL-CIO to do something other than just look after their members. I reminded them at the concert we had there that I did a Woody Guthrie 80th birthday concert here in New York City in the park, and it was a great free day. We had a wonderful time. I was on the Disposable Heroes, Seeger was on, Jesse Jackson spoke, Arlo played. We had a great time. It was actually when Nora came and approached me about this project, and it was sponsored by Pepsi Cola. That's okay. I mean, that's what it takes to get free people in, but it really should have been sponsored by the AFL-CIO. That's what I thought, and I told them that. I told them that down there. And then we drove, listening to Harry Smith, listening to the Carter Family, listening to Jimmy Rogers, listening to the kind of shit that we figured that Woody would have been listening. We drove from Pittsburgh. We spent the night in Louisville, Kentucky. We spent the night in Memphis, Tennessee. We drove across Arkansas, and we got finally to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we spent 3 or 4 days in Tulsa. Woody came from a place called Okemah, Oklahoma, halfway between Tulsa, Oklahoma City. And then we drove through Oklahoma into the Texas Panhandle to Pampa in the north there near Amarillo, where Woody spent a good deal of his married life. And it was great to go down there and see those places and be there and things, because it brought up a load of things in my mind. For instance, I never knew that Will Rogers came from Oklahoma. Now I understand that Will Rogers probably was to Woody like Woody was to Dylan. I've now found, you know, it's those kind of connections. It's really important to go down. And also, I now realize that the Texas Panhandle is not actually a panhandle. The panhandle bit, you may already know this shit, but I'm from abroad, so it does my brain in. The panhandle is the actual bit of Oklahoma that stops Texas going all the way to Kansas. Something has to stop it, doesn't it? It took a whole nother country down south to stop those bastards from going any further. Whoa! It's another country. Don't come any further. Whoa, wait. You know, Texas, whoa. So, but the bit, for some reason, the Texans have decided to call the bit underneath the Oklahoma Panhandle, where it sticks out, where you look like you could grab Oklahoma and go with a pan. That makes sense. But the Texas bit, I don't know. If you look at a map of Texas, and I have done this, not that there are any drugs down there at all. You know, there's hardly any beer. They're only allowed to have very piss-weak beer down in Oklahoma for some reason. So it's just like being in London. So it's not a panhandle. It's kind of like, you could call it, if you take the state of Texas and turn it kind of through about 45 degrees, so it's kind of like goes around onto its side. It could be, you could call it the Texas piece of the back of a Triceratops head if someone had squared a couple of right angles in it. But that's not got the same as evocative, is it, as the Texas piece of a Triceratops head if someone, no. Yes, tea for Texas, sir. I'll have one if you're having one, actually. We both have a tea, I love it. And so I went down there, and on the drive, we did this great long drive, but my back got really stiff sitting in the van, so I had to spend a day flat on my back, and it was a Sunday. So I watched a lot of what you refer to as football. I watched a lot of what you refer to as Christianity. I even found what you laughingly refer to as soccer was on as well. But best of all, there to taunt me at a time when I couldn't move away from the television live from Washington, D.C. was Margaret Thatcher. Yeah, addressing the International Conservative Congress, and I couldn't quite reach the... before she had me in her gaze. I mean, it's like they were letting her do things that were just unbelievable, that they would never let her do at home, like speak live on the telly. No, please. And it was really amazing because, I mean, listening to her talk, it does remind you how great Tony Blair is. It really is a sort of, it's like, it did actually fill me with joy. By Christ, I need it occasionally. But the great thing was that she defined, I mean, it was a lovely afternoon. It was Newt Gingrich, William F. Buckley, and Margaret Thatcher. It would have been great if it was, Worldwide Wrestling Federation or something like that. It would have been brilliant, wouldn't it? What a team they would make. And Thatcher showing her new teeth to the camera. So, but she defined conservatism, I can't even say it, never mind believing it. She defined conservatism for the next century, the thing that bounds conservatives from all over the world, because you were speaking to an American audience, what it is, the one defining thing, because I never thought of Thatcher as a conservative, because she just fucked everything. She just pissed it away to give rich people tax cuts. What's conservative about that? It just doesn't seem to... But she finally defined conservatism for the world as, and this is the literal phrase she used, the defense of the West. Yeah. It's a white guy's thing. You won't get it. It's kind of the defense of the West. And I sort of sat there and took that, and not Western values or any shit or any values, whatever, but it's the defense of the West. And it kind of sort of really particularly being in Oklahoma, it had a resonance. But that kind of like attitude stayed with me. And this is the problem we have at home. She's no longer the Prime Minister. They're no longer in power. But those damn ideas, they just won't go away. You Thatcherites by name, Lyndon here, Lyndon here. You Thatcherites by name, Lyndon here. You Thatcherites by name, your fortunes I will blame. Pictures I must blame, you will hear, you will hear. Your doctrines I must blame, you will hear. You privatise away what is ours, what is ours. You privatise away what is ours. You privatise away and then you make us pay. I will take it back someday, mark my words, mark my words. We'll take it back someday, mark my words. You Thatcherites by name, Lyndon here, Lyndon here. You Thatcherites by name, Lyndon here. You Thatcherites by name, your thoughts I will proclaim. Your doctrines I must blame, you will hear, you will hear. Your doctrines I must blame, you will hear. The scabs, they hide their faces in shame, yes, in shame. The scabs, they hide their faces in shame. They hide away in shame, but we recall their names, and they know they'll share the blame for it all, for it all. They know they'll share the blame for it all. You Thatcherites by name, Lyndon here, Lyndon here. You Thatcherites by name, Lyndon here. You Thatcherites by name, your faults I will proclaim. Your doctrines I must blame, you will hear, you will hear. Your doctrines I must blame, you will hear. Your leader, she is gone to the air, to the air. Your leader, she is gone to the air. Your leader, she is gone. Ideas carry on, and they come from now from the mouth of Mr. Blair, Mr. Blair. They're coming out of the mouth of Tony Blair. Yeah, Thatcherites by name, lending here, lending here. Yeah, Thatcherites by name, lending here. Yeah, Thatcherites by name. Your faults I will proclaim. Your doctrines I must blame. You will hear, you will hear. Your doctrines I must blame. You will hear. I totally did myself, as I say, on the trip down to Tulsa, but I got something really exciting called some sort of preparation you put on your back, and it stings like heck, but it's sort of like, it's not, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's some horrible brand name. And the little old lady in the restaurant, as I was trying to get up from breakfast, recommended it to me, so we found a pharmacy and we bought it. But it's a weird stuff. One night I'm sort of preparing myself for bed very slowly. I put it on my back and everything, and it was I washed my hands and everything. But before I went to bed, I must have just sort of done this, getting into bed, because as soon as I scratched my balls, there came a strange sensation upon me. And actually, it's the biggest thrill I've had on the road for ages, actually, apart from playing to you guys. It certainly brought a whole new meaning to the phrase Texas Panhandle, I can tell you. So those of you who are desperate to know what's been happening at home, you probably know Manchester United beat Juventus. Arsenal got knocked out by POAK. Newcastle United proceeded, I think, after a draw. Chelsea fucking won again, as usual. And although the leadership of the Labour Party are the radical centre, that's an oxymoron, not a political ideology, for fuck's sake. They are controlling the party by an iron hand, and they brought in this one person, one vote idea, but their leading ideologue, Peter Mandelson, was beaten by Ken Livingstone, the unfashionable champion of the left. And what this means is two things. Firstly, that the Labour Party leadership may be in power and starting to drift more centre than left, but the actual membership of the Labour Party have not sold their soul. So there is hope. We must not give up hope. And that, as always, fucking Manchester United just do what fucking Manchester United fucking do. Strange as it may seem, I once had my football dreams, but I was always the last one, the last to get chosen when my classmates picked their teams. I guess that was the way it stayed. In every game I played, life just kicked me and clattered and tripped me till you picked me from the parade. Now I feel like I've won the cup every time that we make love, 45 minutes each way. At half-time I hear a brass band play. The boy done good, the girl done better. The season's turned, we're still together. The sky's still blue, and tomorrow is another day. The boy done good, the girl done better. The season's turned, we're still together. The sky's still blue, and tomorrow is another day. It turned out you weren't that kind of a bird who likes her studs to be covered in mud. Taking you to the pictures was a regular fixture for one of life's eternal subs. And I tried hard acting tough, but I just can't stand the taste of that stuff. Like some macho park player I got in the way of in some grudge match against his pub. Still I'm happier how I am today. Now I've put my boots away. I guess I'll never get picked to play my song on Match of the Day. The boy done good, the girl done better. The seasons turn, we're still together. The sky's still blue, and tomorrow's another day. The boy done good, the girl done better. The seasons turn, we're still together. The sky's still blue, and tomorrow is another day. The sky's still blue, tomorrow is another day. It's very tough. It's very tough to watch indoor soccer in the US because you can't work out what the rules are first. And I found the other thing, I found something else out about American football that I never realised before, is that those guys, they're wearing padding under there. They're not actually that muscular. You know, because there's this whole macho thing in American kind of everything, you know, in sport. It's all about muscles, isn't it? The wrestling is all about muscles and acting, and the football is a good degree of acting involved in that, isn't it? It's all about muscular authority and acting. It's like, you know, sort of Rudolph Giuliani against poor old Ruth Messenger. It's all muscular acting, and I'm macho than you are, you bastard. There's some of these things, and I search when I come to America for an antidote to that, for the irony in the American soul, the irony that lives here among you. And I finally found it in the coffee shops of New York City, these new coffee shops, where you go in there and they have 3 sizes of cup for you to have. And the smallest one is called tall. It's like when you tell the big guy, shorty, hey, shorty, you know. And the middle one is called grande. Rio Grande kind of vibe to it, you know. It's just great because that's nice. And the really big one is called Gigante. Well, that makes me feel good as a European. There's an English one, a French one, and a Spanish one. Cappuccino is an Italian word. We're laughing. It's like the European Union come here. And you guys, yeah, the tall one. I mean, you wonder what they call each other, what sort of sizest jokes they make in them coffee shops about height, and the people come in. You know, it's sort of like, it's confusing. And it's very confusing anyway for us for England, because we only have 2 types of coffee in England. We have tea and coffee. And one of them's shit. But if I had to drink the tea in America, I'd fucking fry it in Boston Harbor as well. So, vive la différence, as we say to the French. So one of the things that Woody was great at was falling in love, obsessive love, with people who weren't really there. And really, my heart goes out to him when he does that. It goes out to him. This is one such song. Ingrid Bergman, let's go make a movie on the island of Stromboli. Ingrid Bergman, you're so pretty. You'd make any mountain quiver. You'd make firefly from the crater. That's what he wrote. Ingrid Bergman. This old mountain, it's been waiting all its life for you to work it, for your hand to touch its hard rock. Ingrid Bergman. Ingrid Bergman. If you walk across my camera, I will flash the world your story. I will pay you more than money. Ingrid Bergman. Not with pennies, dimes, nor quarters, but with happy sons and daughters, and they'll dance around Stromboli. Ingrid Bergman. This old mountain, it's been waiting all its life for you to work it, for your hand to touch its hard rock. Ingrid Bergman. Ingrid Bergman. See, That's great. Because you reacted the same way I reacted when I first read the words to that song. Exactly the same way. I must tell you, it was written at a time when Ingrid Bergman, she was married to an American. She went to Italy to make a movie about the volcano Stromboli. That's what he's talking about. And while she was there, she had an illicit affair with, what's his name, Rossellini. Yeah, that's right, Rossellini, which gave us Isabel Rossellini. Yeah, that's what he's writing about. Obviously, this tickled him somewhat, if tickle is the right word. I realised very early on this project, there's no point in making excuses for Woody. I'm going to play a song now and I can't remember how it starts. But just give me a second, I'll drink a water if I can remember. No, it's not. It's not. I'm working it. Well, I should be able to remember this. I've totally written my... Huh? I should forget this one. It's dreadful, isn't it? I ought to leave enough hot water for your morning bath, but I'd not thought I hate to hear you talk that way. I can't bring myself to say I'm sorry. The past is always knocking incessant, trying to break through into the present. We have to work to keep it up. I won't be the first to shout it's over. I used to want to plant bombs the last night of the proms, but now you'll find me with the baby in the bathroom of that big shell, listening for the sound of the sea. I steal a kiss from you in the supermarket. I walk you down the aisle, you fill my basket, and through it all the stick I take is worth it for the love we made. I used to want to plant bombs at the last night of the proms, but now you'll find me with the baby in the bathroom of that big shell, listening for the sound of the sea, the baby and me. I stayed in bed, alone, uncertain, then I met you. You drew the curtains, the sun came up, the trees began to sing, and light shining on everything. I love you. The sun came up, the trees began to sing, and light shining on everything. I love you. Thank you. So Dave here, who's guitar teching for me tonight, is used to, he was most surprised to see me actually writing out the running order, all three of them, rather than doing it on the laptop. I reminded him that I was lo-fi but low maintenance. that subsequently that I am still writing it all out is the fact that he's able to read the set list and tell me what the first line is of the song it is. I can't remember. See, now, if I had the kind of Frank Sinatra thing here where the words are all on, I wouldn't have that problem, obviously, but it's like, you know, it's so distracting reading the words continually, even the ad-libs off one of those kind of reading things. So I don't have that. I just have the monitor set on CNN and just watch the whatever it is going underneath. That's the other thing about American football, that if you're a foreigner, right, you can't really understand. This is from laying on the bed in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where the door of the hotel said, no firearms. All firearms must be left at reception. That's, I'm not joking. Hey, it was good. It was great. It was great. But watching the football, watching Oklahoma pound the shit out of Louisville, not only can you never work out what the fucking hell those nicknames are about, you know, sooner than what? Sooner than better? I don't fucking know, you know. But also, it's all those little, you know, if you don't know what those abbreviations for all the information they flash up all the time is, you can't understand it. And you know what else? It doesn't mean diddly. Either the guy caught the ball and ran like a wally and did it, whatever it is, ran past and went like this. Which seems to mean he scored. If he can run right to the end of the pitch and go, get his knees up above his groin, he's, you know. Runny catchy, that's all, you know. What? No, you can't all shout at the same time because it's like all frequencies of a radio coming together, man. That's me. One of the things that everybody's really worried about is that the Tony Blair government will be a sellout. The problem is, I try and keep telling my friends this is something to concern ourselves with in 5 years' time at the next election. Whilst they're in power, what we have to do is get behind them and push as hard as we can to make them go forward. They may not be well, they're definitely not a socialist government, but they are progressive, both in the American sense and in our sense. They told the people of Scotland and Wales they would give them a referendum. They gave them a referendum. The people voted in huge numbers in Scotland, and for some reason a tiny, tiny little majority in Wales. That's the will of the people, but that's what they did. They did do that. They're going to give us in London the ability to elect. There are 7 million people in London. There are 5 million in Scotland, 1.5 to 2 million in Wales. They're going to give us in London the opportunity to elect a citywide authority and possibly even, I know you're grown, a mayor, possibly, but they're talking about that's what we need is a city as big as London. We don't have any central authority. So these things are progressive and they're very positive and we have to encourage these kind of things. But the thing that is most important that we have to encourage is some kind of break on the logjam over the issue of peace in Northern Ireland and some sort of potential settlement. And that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing. If the Blair government go out of power having changed nothing else, Manchester United still win the league every year, but there's peace in Northern Ireland, they'll be the most radical government that we've had in Britain since 1940, 1951. It's just a northern industrial town. Some doors of the woman open into the street. There's no room for front gardens, just the 2 up, 2 down in a northern industrial town. And you soon see the green hills across the rooftops, and the fresher wind blows past the end of our block. In the evenings the mist comes rolling on down into a northern industrial town. And there's only 2 teams in this town, and you must follow one or the other. Let us win, let them lose, not the other way round in a northern industrial town. The old place looks pretty and bright from the tops of the hills that rise dark in the night. If it weren't for the rain, you might never come down to your northern industrial town. And on payday, they'd tear the place down with a pint in your hand and a bash 'em out band. Sure, they dance to the rhythm of the rain falling down in a northern industrial town. and there's plenty of artists around. Painters steal cars, poets nick guitars, 'cause we're out of the black and we're into the red. So give us this day our daily bread in a northern industrial town. But it's not Leeds or Manchester, Liverpool, Sheffield, nor Glasgow. It's not Newcastle on Tyne, it's Belfast. It's just a northern industrial town. Merry Christmas, war is over in a northern industrial town.
What are we doing? I think we're doing folk rock, aren't we? Oh, God, yeah, that's a great one, that, isn't it? I wish I could remember how that went. Now, whenever people do that, I always think of that song, the Smiths song, I started something I couldn't finish. Not that I'm going to sing that, but just that's what happened if I try and play that song. I mean, I'd started Thatcherites and suddenly realised halfway through that I still had John Major at the end and I better kick him out and get someone else in there. It's a while since I played that. It's just her rearing up on the TV in front of me like that. Suddenly, to see her there was a bit of a shock. There we go, back to this. Where was that guy asking me to play my greatest hits? It was you, wasn't it, mate? Here we go.
I'll never forget the first day I met her. That September morning was clear and fresh. The way she spoke and laughed at my jokes, and the way she rubbed herself against the edge of my desk. She became a magic mystery to me, and we'd sit together in double history twice a week. And some days we'd walk the same way home, and it's surprising how quick a little rain can clear the streets. We dreamed of her and compared our dreams, but that was all that I ever tasted. For she lied to me with her body, you see, and I lied to myself about the chances I wasted. The times when we were close were far and few between. The darkness, the dances in the school canteen. Did she close her eyes as I did when we held each other tight? And la 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 means I love you.
You betcha, America. Don't make me laugh now. Here we go. I never get that top note.
Me and I still hold that memory soft and sweet, and I whistle up her window as I walk down her street. But I never made the first team, I just made the first team laugh, and she never came to the phone, she was always in the bath. In the end it took me a dictionary to find out the meaning of unrequited. Well, she was giving herself for free at a party to which I was never invited. I never understood my face, and I hide my humble hopes now. Thinking back, folks, she made us want a girl not old enough to shave her head and have her belly button pierced. 1649 to St George's Hill. A ragged band they called the Diggers came to show the people's will. They defied the landlords, they defied the laws. They were the dispossessed, reclaiming what was theirs. We come in peace, they said, to dig and sow. We come to work the lands in common and to make the waste ground grow. This earth divided, we will make whole. So it shall be a common treasury for all. And a sin of poverty we do disdain. No man has any right to buy and sell the earth for private gain. By theft and murder they took the land, and now everywhere the walls rise up at their command. They make the laws to chain us well. The clergy dazzle us with heaven, or they damn us into hell. We will not worship the God they serve, the God of greed who feeds the rich while poor folks starve. We work, we eat together, we need no swords. We will not bow to the masters or pay rent to the Lord. Still we are free, though we are poor. Now you diggers all stand up for glory. Stand up now, stand up now, stand up now. From the men of property, the orders came. They sent the hired men and troopers to wipe out the diggers' claim, tear down their cottages, destroy their corn. They were dispersed, but still the vision lingers on. Ah, you poor take courage, you rich take care. This earth was made a common treasury for everyone to share all things in common. All people one. We come in peace, the orders came to cut them down. Ah, you diggers. Now, you see, I thought the way that you reacted to starting off with a short answer, I thought you were softies, but you've gone all militant on me, haven't you? There's more where that came from. Just push my buttons, you know I'll do it. The wind shakes the trees and the raindrops on the leaves tumble down my neck in the breeze. Yes, it's true, I hid out in the shadow of your doubt, and this medal that I wear is not for bravery, I'm afraid, and we're both gonna have to accept that this might be as good as it gets, and our love for each other respects neither rule nor reason. The Queen on her throne plays early Bassy records when she's all on her own, and she looks out the window and cries. What should I do? Scratch off all of my tattoos and forget those girls' names, but You're not about to let me do that, are you? And we're both gonna have to accept that this might be as bad as it gets. And our love for each other respects neither rule nor reason. And we're both gonna have to accept that this might be as big as it gets. And our love for each other respects neither rule nor reason. Neither rule nor reason. So the great thing about going down to Oklahoma, which I never would have understood if I didn't go down there, I was going to tell you this anyway, don't worry. The great thing about going down there, oh no I was, believe me, was that Oklahoma has an incredible radical tradition, which you find in some of these southern states. For a long time, just after the state was incorporated, the state was only incorporated into the Union 5 years before Woody Guthrie was born. Before that, it was Indian territory. Literally, Indian territory, until 1902. I had never learned any of this shit from a book. But what we found down there were a lot of radical people down there, and there's still this kind of, the Socialist Party were the third largest party after the Democrats and Republicans down there for a long time, and they almost sent a socialist senator up to Washington. It came very, very close. They just threw all the votes out. The black people, basically, is how they stopped it. There was a black separatist movement down there as well. A lot of black Native Americans, tribes that had been there and owned it, they had black slaves. After the Civil War, those slaves became free. They became worked between the Americans, the white Americans, and Native Americans. This whole radical tradition went on, and there's still people down there who come out in the woodwork when they read I was coming to town and kind of tracked me. It wasn't hard to track me down, so I was stuck in this bastard hotel, but they came to my sick bed to talk to me and stuff like that, and we even thought about putting together a kind of like a radical leftist baseball team down there, like the, yeah, that's what we thought. I thought that's the way to get the people of America to socialism, I believe. It's something that came to me. I don't know if you know this, when the White House finally believed that the Russians were in Cuba, when this is true, the spy satellites suddenly showed the baseball pitches being ploughed up and football pitches being put down for the Russian technicians. This is the truth. This is the truth. Football, soccer is the game of international socialism. And I think this was, yeah. Thank you very much. We were going to put together a team called something like, I don't know, no, not the Reds is too, I think that's a bit too much. We were going more for like the Oklahoma City Pinkos. Or even better, the Commie Bastards. What does that sound? That's more Oklahoman, I think, really, because there is a slight dichotomy between the kind of like the radical. But it's very important. The other thing I didn't understand about Oklahoma is it's such a crossroads, you know. It's not in the West. It's not even really proper in the Southwest. It's not in the Midwest. It's not in Texas, thank God. You know, it's not really in the South. It's this incredible crossroads of America. The history of Oklahoma is the whole, that was the last bit of the whole map of America. They finally joined up there. There was a gap there. And all this stuff happened very, very shortly before Woody Guthrie was born. So I picked that up by going down there. And one of the things that was really weird about it down there was the Freemasons and the Ku Klux Klan more or less ran the state for a while down there. And when there wasn't enough black people around, they just picked on the Catholics or the Jews or anybody else they could find to pick on that wasn't basically like them. They were very, very organized down there, which is why there was such a radical movement. You know, they were still having lynchings in Woody Guthrie's time. And this is one of the great things about Guthrie. He comes from that period that is really proper history, not just kind of like happy days history,
but real proper history. He's that far back, he's that far away, but at the same time, he's very, very contemporary. The things that he's writing about are things that concern Americans again now. I think this is really important. Things like unions that he writes about and organising, things that Americans are again turning to and looking for ways to manifest their ideals and their communal ideals. This is very, very positive. But he is this kind of character who's in history and also almost stretches through Dylan and through Springsteen and people like that all the way, if not to MTV, at least to VH1. Which is not bad for a guy who was born in 1912, is it? Let's be honest. So this is for those of you who are still stopping the Klan organising anywhere in the United States of America.
I've always been impressed with a girl who could sing for supper and get breakfast as well. That's the way I am. Heaven help me. He said we don't like peace campaigners round here, as he nailed another one to the wall. That's what gets me in trouble. Heaven help me. Good luck and good luck to the rubbish that you've spoken. Goodbye and good luck to the promises you've broken. Your life has lost its dignity, its beauty and its passion. You're an accident waiting to happen. There you are standing in the bar and you're giving me grief about a USSR, and that chip on your shoulder gets bigger as you get uglier. One of these nights you're gonna get caught, it'll give you pregnant pause for thought. You're a dedicated swallower of capitalism. Time up and time out for the rubbish that you've broken. Time up and time out for all the friends that you've forsaken. And if you choose to waste away like death is back in fashion, you're an accident waiting to happen. My sins are so unoriginal. I have all the self-loathing, a wolf in sheep's clothing in this carnival of carnivores. Heaven help me. Goodbye and good luck to the rubbish that you've spoken. Goodbye and good luck to the promises you've broken. Your life has lost its dignity, its beauty and its passion. You're an accident waiting to happen. You're an accident waiting to happen. You're a dedicated swallower of fascism. You're an accident waiting to happen. Smash fascism.
No, you're all shouting at me again. Yeah, you're too close to shout. You should talk rather than shout. I know, you said it 5 times, I still can't remember how it goes. But see, the other thing, what? Yeah, what? Okay. I could try it in a minute. Let me just try this again. Let me just try this. Getting back to the little fella from Oklahoma. We also went to Pampa, Texas, as I say, in the so-called Panhandle. And I'm glad I went there because Okemah doesn't look like a Dust Bowl town. It's kind of the Oklahoma hills. It's kind of rolling, you know. It looks a bit like sort of New England with prairie dogs. It's kind of like, it's like that. But Pampa, Texas, up there around Amarillo, it's so flat there that from the, I'm sure from my balcony on the first, or the second floor as you say in America, first floor as we say, because we have ground in England. You don't have ground apart from coffee. From the balcony, as I looked out across the plains, I could the sun was coming up just behind the hotel. It was 7 o'clock in the morning because I brought a film crew and they like to get me up early because I look better apparently in that kind of light. If you can believe that. Bent double and going, hey, you know what? There's no cappuccino south of Ohio. It's tough. It's tough. I've been doing some hard traveling. I thought you knowed. Let me tell you, it was really rough down there. But with the sun coming up, it was great because the glint of the sun out across the prairie just caught the top of the Sky Dome in Toronto. It looked beautiful. It was just really, it really was beautiful down there. But I'm glad I went there as well because it's there in Pampa that Woody was with his first family when the dust storm hit in 1935. This dust storm, thousands of feet high, 50 miles, 60 miles wide, traveling at 70 miles an hour, hit Pampa. It just must have been biblical because there were birds fleeing away in front of this thing, and it just hit the town, and it was just instant pitch blackness and this very, very fine sand. I've read about it, but I managed to speak to a guy down there, a guy who knew Woody. We were talking, and after we finished filming, I asked him what was it like? He said he had to find his way back to his house by feeling along the shop fronts. He only had to go 100 yards. And then he was a kkid. The family got round the bed. They knelt and prayed because they did believe it was the judgment day come. That's what they thought it was. They thought it was fire. They thought it was the smoke from a fire that was traveling across like Jesus, as you probably know from the Carter family song, Jesus said to Moses, that's enough of water, fire next time, you know? Or those of you who are not religious, it's like the start of Bonanza, you know. The levels I have to drop for these people. Like that. That's what I thought it was. They thought, it's the beginning of Bonanza. In 20 years. So, you know, and when, you know, if you think there's Woody down there, he's writing all these songs about the Dust Bowl, it's got nothing to do with what's happening in America today. That was the greatest ecological disaster to happen in this country. You know, in real terms, not just a flood or something like that, or a hurricane, which is a force of nature which you can't help, but this was a man-made problem, getting rid of the topsoil. And if you think that ecological angle from Woody's writing has no relevance today, then look on the news what's happening now in Southeast Asia, where fires from Indonesia are forcing people in Borneo to walk down the streets with their mouths protected so they don't breathe in the dust and get it in their lungs in the same way that the people in Oklahoma and in the Texas Panhandle got the dust in their lungs and got something called dust pneumonia. This stuff is really, really relevant. And whilst I don't wish to pull songs out of the archive that sound like Woody Guthrie songs, I want to seek out those songs that don't sound in their content like Woody Guthrie songs and surprise you a bit. Still, if you listen to the imagery in this next song, I think you'll get a bit of an idea about what it must feel like to be under that sort of thing. Black wind blowing in the cotton field, baby. Black wind blowing in the cotton field, honey. Black wind blowing in the cotton field. Oh, how funny it makes me feel, baby. Sweet thing, darling. Long black cloud hanging in the sky, baby. Long black cloud hanging in the sky, honey.
one black cloud hanging in the sky. Weather's gonna break and hell's gonna fly, baby. Sweet thing, darling. Cotton's pretty thin yonder on the hill, honey. Cotton's pretty thin yonder on the hill, baby. Cotton's pretty thin yonder on the hill. It won't make a greenback dollar bill, baby. Sweet thing, darling. Work shading back to the buzzard wing, honey. Work shading back to the buzzard wing, baby. Work shading back to the buzzard wing. Clouds are gonna burst and cry down rain, honey. Sweet thing, darling. There's a black wind blowing in the cotton field, honey. A black wind blowing in the cotton field, baby. There's a black wind blowing in the cotton field, and oh, how funny it makes me feel, baby. Sweet thing, darling.
I guess I should tell you what we're going to do. Is about 20. I've written about 20 of these songs, music too, and in January I'm going to go into the studio with Wilco, and together we're going to make an album of these songs, which should be with you sometime next year. So there probably won't be a Bragg album next year. There'll be a Woody Bragg kind of Wilco kind of album next year for you all to listen to. And as I say, we filmed this trip. We're going to film the making of the album, and we're going to try and cast a movie about the life and the work of Woody Guthrie that I hope takes him out of that pre-war 1930s period and puts him where he was writing and where he belongs, in late 40s, early 50s America, because that's what he was influenced when he was writing these kind of songs. So look out for that song, that album sometime next year.
With the money from her accident, she bought herself a mobile home, so at least she could get some enjoyment out of being alone. No one decided she was left up on the shelf. It's you and me against the world, kid, she mumbled to herself. When the world falls apart, something stay in place. Levi Stubbs, tears run down his face. She ran away from home in her mother's best coat. She was married before she was even entitled to vote. And her husband was one of those blokes, the sort who only laughs at his own jokes. The sort of war takes away. When there wasn't a war, he left anyway. When the world falls apart, something stay in place. Levi Stubbs, tears run down his face. Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong are here to make right everything that's wrong. Holland and Holland and Ramondos, you two are here to make it all okay with you. And one dark night you came home from the sea and put a hole in her body when a hole should be. It had a more seen walking out the door, and none of they stitched her back together. They left her out in pieces on the floor. When the world falls apart, some things stay in place. She takes off the four tops tape and puts it back in its case. When the world falls apart, some things stay in place. Levi Stubbs tears.
Thank you. Wicky's doing very well, thank you. In fact, I did some of the Woody demos around at his house a couple of weeks ago, and he was very fine. And he's got a little studio in West London. And if you're around there, he's what? Cara, she's fine. She's I don't think she's working at the school anymore, but she's doing a bit of cocktail music. She always has done that, even when she was playing with Blur and me and Everything But the Girl. In the meantime, she used to go and play in a hotel reception. I'm not joking. She loves it. She says, I sometimes slip one of yours in, Bill, when they're not looking. I said, as long as you don't play like that when you play with me, Tibbs, I don't mind, frankly. Jack, he's fine. Yeah, he's fine. He's talking to me on the phone the other day, and I was saying to him, are you being good, and everything while I'm waiting. And he was just, for his mum's benefit, I was saying, oh, Daddy, you're not funny, you're so funny. He's running rings around me. Richard, he's fine as well. He's not doing too bad. He's got over that sort of trip up the pavement, that piece of uneven pavement. Yeah, they're fine as well, It's just West Ham United, it just goes on. So a few people, since I've been over here in the States, have been asking me about what, you must feel better now with the Labour government and what's the significance of that victory and stuff like that. Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you, it is very exciting. There are pluses and there are minuses. I mean, for instance, at the AFL-CIO convention, I saw President Clinton speak there, and he, strove to identify himself with the UPS strike victory, which was, I wish Tony Blair would do something like that. He wouldn't dare do that. He wouldn't dare do that. And the highlight of the day actually wasn't Clinton. It was when the UPS workers came up in stage and to the tune of, in their uniforms, to the tune of, "We are the men in brown." I'm not joking, to remember. That's what they were singing. It was just so great. It was so great. They had their gear on. It was really, really brilliant. And if when I used to come over here in the 80s and talk about unions, people used to give me this shit about organised crime and stuff like that and all this bollocks. Now, the unions in this country have strived hard over the last 10 years to put that behind them by devolving power down to themselves. Now, the government runs the Teamsters election and then turns around and says it's all bent. There's something a bit vaguely wrong here. And another thing that we learned from England is when the right wing attack unions, it's because they're starting to make a difference. That's why they're being attacked. So don't let it bother you. Don't let it worry you. They're just trying to get at you, because the unions are their members. That's what the unions are their members. That's the real important thing. And what's great about what we achieved on May 1st in England is, one, that we achieved it on May 1st. John Major could call the date of the election any time up to June the 5th of this year. He could choose any date. Why would he choose May 1st? I don't know. It just shows you how head up his arse he was about the whole thing. But what he gave us now is, I've been playing May Day rallies around the world for the past 15 years, and I love it. I love enjoy it. It's great to come together and to celebrate what's been achieved. But I've always felt that that's what it's been. It's been an exercise about keeping faith with what was achieved in the past. But next May Day, when we get together to celebrate. We in Britain will have something to celebrate that we achieved on May the 1st for our workers, for our people. Because the people in Britain, they didn't vote. They didn't vote for socialism. Let's not kid themselves. They weren't even offered socialism. But what they did vote for is teachers and nurses and firemen and policemen and those kind of community aspects, those kind of people. And more importantly, they voted for the people that rely on those people as well. That's who they voted for. They voted for public services and for the people who rely on them. And that encourages me. That really encourages me. Because I think since the Berlin Wall came down, we've got to look around and ask ourselves, how are we going to define socialism? But we could spend all day trying to define socialism, like we could stand here arguing all day trying to define football. The point is not how to define it. The point is how to make the society that we live in different, more positive, more progressive. And that's what we should be doing out there working. Not worrying whether or not it's socialism. We should be worrying whether or not it's more compassionate than it was. That's what we should be worrying. Are we living? That's the choice we have. We don't have the old choice anymore between revolution and capitalism, or between capitalism and socialism. We live in a post-ideological world. Even governments don't know what the fuck is happening in capitalism anymore. But the choice we still do have is whether we want to live in a society based on exploitation or a society based on compassion. We still have that choice. We still have that choice to make. We still have that opportunity to go out there and change things. And that's fine by me. That is fine by me, because I believe that compassion is socialism of the heart.
I'm going upfield, way up in the hillside. I'm going higher than I've ever been before. That's where you'll find me, over the horizon, wading in the river, reaching for that other shore. I dreamed I saw a tree full of angels up on Primrose Hill, and I flew with them over the great wind till I had seen my fill of such poverty and misery, sure to tear my soul apart. I've got a socialism of the heart. I've got a socialism of the heart. I'm going up the old, way up on the hillside. I'm going higher than I've ever been before. That's where you'll find me, over the horizon, wading in the river, reaching for that other shore. The angels asked me how I felt about all I'd seen and heard, that they spoke to me a pagan, gave me cause to doubt their word. But they laughed and said it doesn't matter if you help us in our art. You've got a socialism of the heart. You've got a socialism of the heart. I'm going up the old, way up in the hillside. I'm going higher than I've ever been before. That's where you find me, over the horizon, wading in the river, reaching for that other shore. Their faces shone and they were gone, and I was left alone. And I walked these ancient empire streets till I came tearful to my home. When I woke next morning, I vowed to play my part. I've got a socialism of the heart. I've got a socialism of the heart. That's why I'm going up the old, way up in the hillside. I'm going higher than I've ever been before. That's where you'll find me, over the blue horizon, wading in the river, reaching for that other shore, reaching for that other shore, reaching for an early shore. My name's Billy Bragg, I'm a Bragg of Essex. Thank you very much, Clarissa. I'll see you again. Good night.
Thanks very much. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my rather weird selection of songs tonight. A couple of things I wanted to say about the William Bloke CD should be now available in a shop somewhere near you, but nowhere near Tulsa, Oklahoma, unfortunately. But so they've been playing a couple off there. And of course the Woody stuff. Now, 2 days ago, I was too shy and I thought, no, I can't play these songs because I just haven't got the bottle to play them. And then yesterday was the 30th anniversary of Woody's death in 1967, and I had the privilege to spend the day down in Coney Island where he spent his last years with his daughter and his grandson out on the beach down there, walking up and down at Mermaid Avenue, messing around on Surf Avenue, down at Nathan's, the places that Nora went with Woody when she was a kid, and Arlo and Jodie when she was a kid. And it's just, I don't know, it's just been this kind of week where it's all become in focus. And because while we were here making the film in New York, we wanted to, because Woody lived in 3 places. He lived in Oklahoma, he lived in Texas, and he lived in New York City. And that's a very important aspect of what he did. That was how he brought the story from out of down the Southwest and the Dust Bowl to the world through New York City. It's a very, very important part of the story. So we wanted to film in New York City the exciting places and the places where he'd been and the places where he'd lived and the places where he'd worked with the Almanac Singers, with Pete Seeger, where he'd organised in the National Maritime Union and stuff like that. So Nora went through the documents. She found his address book, went through his address book to get the addresses of where Lead Belly and Cisco Houston lives and all that kind of stuff so we could go and film there. And she made a list of important places, a short list of important places. And among those important places on this list, apropos of nothing, because Nora didn't know about this gig, was the Irving Plaza. And it just hit me. It just hit me there. And I spoke in the office to Harold Leventhal, who looked after Woody's affairs and Seeger's affairs and worked closely with Dylan and stuff like that. And Harold Leventhal told me that Irving Plaza was the place in the 1940s where he first saw Woody Guthrie at a hootenanny with Lead Belly. And when I heard that, I thought, well, I really have got to play these songs. I've got to go out there and play these songs. So I know it's not perhaps you'd hear some of the songs you're expecting to hear tonight, but I really have felt that playing here at Irving Plaza, I always knew it had a great history. And the first time I came here, I knew that the Polish workers had organised out of here. There was always a radical tradition in this room. It always had a vibe, this room. I played it way back in the mid-'80s when I played here. But to think of them playing in the 1940s, Lead Belly and Woody playing up here, and Brownie Terry, Sonny McGee, those guys, the Almanac Singers, Seeger, all that stuff, all that organising, playing hootenannies, not gigs, but political organised gigs to raise money for some particular fund. It really moved me. I walked in here tonight. I really copped a vibe for it. So I hope you've enjoyed what I've been talking about. Sorry if it's been a ramble, because I've been making it up, but because the other thing I really feel strongly is, and I know this as a songwriter, unless you play songs live, they never really fully evolve. You know, if you don't play these songs, you just go in the studio and record them. They evolve after you've recorded them. These songs have got to be played in, not just written, but played in as well. So I appreciate you for taking the time to listen to these songs. Now this is another one of Woody's. I played it this afternoon at the Garment Workers demonstration out in front of Macy's for them there, and I'll be speaking about them in a second. And one of the things that they're organising is a boycott of Guess, the Guess brand, who are using sweatshops both here in the United States of America and around the world. And hey, Woody has a song about union organising. It's called I Guess I Planted. Wow, they even said wow. I hope that wow gets on the bootleg. It was really good.
I guess I planted some long lonesome seed of a song way down inside me long ago. But now I can't remember when it was, but it joined up with the rest of them and goes. It's just a little song, it don't compare with all those big songs you hear everywhere. But when it dawns way in the back of your mind that the big songs are made up of the little kind, union song, union battles, all added up, want us all what we've got now. I can't even look around me here without hearing this song and thinking about us all first separated, hurt apart and afraid, and hungry for the union. So we went on, working and singing, fighting till we got it. And this is the big union song I guess I hear. Union song, union battles, all added up, want us all what we've got now. Now I won't even try to prove to you how smart I am by naming all of the places round here where we fought our union fight. We fought there at your place, we fought there on your ship. I guess if you missed out on the fight for our union, you missed out on one awful big step that us people took. That's Woody. Now you can pick this up in the foyer about the guests and the sweatshop boycott. What they're trying to do today is the actual full whole National Day of Consciousness around the old sweatshops. And sweatshops aren't just women just having to work very hard. It's very often children having to work for absolute pittance. And there was actions all around the country about this. Companies such as Guess, and it's not just Guess, there are a number of companies, and are raking in a lot of money while their workers, both here and abroad, are working for a pittance. And the Guests, particularly here in New York, have just opened a new store in Soho. And Unite union members, Unite as the garment workers union there, you'll be able to see them outside. Their union members and their activists will be holding actions down there in Guess. So, sum it up. Is you all right? Excuse me just a second. Pierre, is someone there called Pierre? Could pop over here. Is he okay? Does he need to come up on the stage? Pierre, mate, it's your girlfriend apparently. So, well, is she okay? Just excuse me a second. Just all a bit overwhelming. You okay? There you go. Have a cup of tea. Have a nice cup of tea. You'll feel fine. Don't worry. It's all right. No, that's okay. No, you did the right thing, mate. You did the right thing. So if you want to know any more about first aid or the strike, you know, it's either me or some great big beefy geezer with a microphone and a ponytail pushes you all over. So, like I said, low tech, low maintenance.
So, and another thing about clothing stores in America, just while we're on this general kind of boycott stuff, and I implore you to speak to the guest workers out there, is, have you noticed you go in these shops now, there's two things in clothing shops I can't be dealing with. Sort of like really, people with headphones and microphones on, walking around all the time, and really loud banging music. What have they got these microphones? Are they going to do a live vocal or something? I mean, I just maybe they're just listening to the, PBS or something. All things considered. So, we're listening to All Things Considered. He's talking about this huge nuclear plant outside Amarillo where they decommission your own personal tax dollar nuclear weapons, and how dirty and shitty it was, and how if anything happened there, it would wipe out Amarillo. 2 days later, we're driving across the prairie, and Pete says, Bill, you see that building over there? On our way to the airport in Amarillo. That's it. That's where they're dismantling the nuclear weapons. So as I say, we had a march today down through Manhattan, down out in front of Macy's, and we had a great time out there, winding them up and trying to focus people on the boycott. Thanks to those of you who were down there, the people there organised with Unite. This is going to be an ongoing thing. It has very important repercussions, not only for people in this country, but for children all over the world who are working in sweatshops. So I want to dedicate this to Unite with respect. There is power in a union.
There's power in the factory, power in the lines, power in the hand of the worker. But it all amounts to nothing if together we don't stand there. There's power in a union. Now the lessons of the past are all learned with workers' blood. Mistakes of the bosses we must pay for. From the cities and the farmlands to trenches full of mud. War's always been the boss's way, sir. The union forever defending our rights. Down with the black leg workers unite. With our brothers and our sisters from many far off lands. There is power in a union. Now I long for the morning that they realise brutality and unjust laws cannot defeat us. Who'll defend the workers who cannot organise when the bosses send their lackeys out to cheat us? Money speaks for money, the devil for his own. Who comes to speak for the skin and the bone? But a comfort to the widow, a light to the child. There is power in a union. Unite with our brothers and our sisters, together we will stand. There is power in a union. Thank you very much for your time. I've had a great evening tonight. You've given me real confidence about this Woody Guthrie shit. Check out the guest union on the way out. I've really enjoyed myself. Good night. That's garage, mate, garage.
Not garage, garage.
He's got the Bono meeting of a game show host, and his handshake is so limp it's like meeting a ghost. His apologies are tired cause he uses them a lot. His excuses are so lame if they were horses they'd be shot. He lies through his teeth with impeccable grammar. In the game of life he's just a dreadful goal hanger. He's keeping all his options open till the very last minute, checking every situation, trying to work out what's in it. Trying to pin him down is like nailing custard to a wall. He's incapable of making a commitment at all. Like trying to knock in a nail with an inflatable hammer. In the game of life he's just a dreadful goal hanger. Yesterday upon the stair I met some man who's never there. He won't be there again today. Oh, that's what he asked me to say. He's got the natural arrogance of an exclamation mark, and he wishes that his bite was as big as his bark. He's appealing to the referee at every single stage. He's a fuzzy little bundle of impotent rage. Where he used to have patience, he only has anger. In the game of life, he's just a dreadful goal hanger. He's such a lack of humility, defies imagination, and he hangs round like a fart in a Russian space station. He doesn't even notice as he sails you down the river. He's one of life's takers, he's looking for a giver. He smirks, shrugs his shoulders as he drops another clanger. In the game of life he's just a dreadful goal hanger, and he lives with his mum.
Tough. I'm so suggestive. It's tough. I'm a tease, mate. You're a tease. Yeah. Whatever that is. That's how I started. What I meant to do was... It may have been Camelot for Jack and Jacqueline, and on the Che Guevara highway filling up with gasoline. The Harvey Oswald's brother spies a rich lady who's dying of a luxury's disappointment, so he runs over and he's trying to take photographs of her, but he thinks that he should warn her that a worldwide landmines ban is not around the corner. Sign it, you bastards! Just sign it. In the former Soviet Union, the citizens demand to know why they're still the target of strategic air command, and they shake their fists in anger and respectfully suggest we take the money from our missiles and spend it on our hospitals instead. The Cold War's over, brothers and sisters, you better believe it. In the former cheese pavilion,
The only noise I hear is the sound of someone stacking chairs and mopping up spilled gear. Someone asking questions and basking in the light of the 15 flame-filled bottles of the men's magazine writer. You know those men's magazines from England they see them loaded in GQ and all that shit? Do you know why they have glossy pages? They're easy to wipe. Mixing pop and politics, he asks me what the use is. I offer him my acupuncturist and some fruit juices. Looking down the corridor, out to where my limo is waiting, I'm looking for the New World Order. Have you seen the New World Order? Have you actually seen it written down? It's being made as we speak. The New World Order is being made. And America's place in the New World Order is being decided as we speak. But if you can't even beat Jamaica, you're not going to get anywhere, Frank. Jumble sales are organised, all my mates were sacked. Even after all this time, you can still send me a fax. You can be active with the activists or sleeping with the media while you're making for the great leap forwards. One leg forwards, two leaps back. Will the North American Free Trade Agreement get you to sack? Probably. Waiting for the great leap forwards. Well, here comes the future and you can't run from it. Have you got a worldwide web page? I want to be on it. Whatever that means. In a perfect world we'd all sing in tune, but you know, in the spirit of Woody Guthrie, give me some room. Waiting for the great leap forwards. If no one out there understands, give all your money to the United Nations. Why not? Waiting for the great leap forwards. So join the struggle while you may. A revolution is just a union t-shirt away. When you're waiting for the great leap forwards. Woody lives!